Salvatore, though you said that, because the budget speech was in Hindi and you couldn't keep pace, though of course you understand some Hindi and we have heard you speaking in Hindi. This issue of foreign direct investment in the country, India lags behind substantially, say for example, vis-a-vis China. But there was an innovative suggestion in the economic survey yesterday, and that was in English, you would have read, which suggested that why not get the Chinese to do manufacturing in India through the FDI route and hence shift the focus of manufacturing for the rest of the world also from China to India. Do you see some signs of those happening and the budget giving a fillip to it?
No, look, trying to attract foreign investment is like trying to push on a string. Investment follows opportunities. We have a lot of very solid academic research on this, that a growing economy attracts investment. Investment does not lead to a growing economy. So the focus on foreign investment, the focus on attracting investors, while it may sound good from a layperson's perspective, if you're there in a role to foster venture capital, of course you want to attract venture capitalists to your country. It's good sense to promote that, but in the larger macroeconomic reality, somebody's going to fund the economy if the economy is growing at 8%. Everyone wants to get into an economy growing at 8%. When you look at the statistics, it can be difficult to see where that money is coming from, because you see domestic investment is flat. Oh, it's not coming from domestic investors, or foreign investment is falling. Yet the economy is still growing, which means the money is coming from somewhere. It may be coming simply from retained earnings. It's very difficult to trace the sources of the growth through the macro level economic statistics. Yet we know when we look at the macro statistics that countries that have investment coming in do not later grow. Instead, what happens is that countries that grow later have investment flowing into them. So trying to attract Chinese investors to come to India is, okay, there's nothing wrong with it. It's something that a government might sensibly do, but it's not the secret to India's growth. Growing the domestic economy is the secret to India's growth, and that's done through supply-side measures like having proper levels, appropriate levels of taxation, having favorable employment policies, deregulating the economy, making it easier to utilize land, making it easier to utilize labor, letting farmers sell their produce where they want instead of through restricted channels. Those are the routes to growth. The investment will follow if the growth comes.
Yeah, so actually, there is a reason why I'm so focused on China, because with the kind of overcapacity of manufacturing they have, any attempt we make at manufacturing is defeated by the fact that because of that overcapacity, they can still supply cheaper. So some way has to be found to this, right? There is a conundrum. Do you take the duties route, like become a tariff king, as Donald Trump says? And if that's not the way, what is the way out?
Look, the problem is this focus on manufacturing. Most people think of Bangladesh as being a manufacturing center, and yet India's exports, percentage of GDP, are actually larger than Bangladesh's, and they're higher value added. Whereas Bangladesh is exporting cheap T-shirts and textiles, India is exporting refined petroleum and cut diamonds. There's no secret that just because China had lots of low-wage manufacturing and China grew, does not indicate that at a macro level, if you look around the world at economic success stories, that success comes from cheap assembly work. That's simply not the route to economic growth. Now, there's nothing wrong with doing cheap assembly work, but it's much better if you do mechanized assembly work. And anyone who thinks that, well, India has to soak up a large number of workers just has to look at the employment figures. Employment in India has been rising rapidly, regardless of the fact that India has not become a major offshoring hub competing with China. China plus one does not, for most companies, mean India. Producing in India is for the Indian market. China plus one means Vietnam, it means Malaysia, it means potentially Ethiopia even. It generally doesn't mean India, and that's not a bad thing. The important thing is for India to raise productivity in India. Productivity is the key to all economic growth.